Right, that intro was a little bit long, guys, but I wanted to let it play out so you could see what a great job iFLIGHT have done with this new Nazgul V2 O3 Evoque, probably in the wrong order. It is absolutely amazing. Now, I will say, I'm not sponsored by iFLIGHT. They didn't send me this for free. I paid for this with my own hard-earned YouTube money, so money from the channel, and because I actually wanted to see what this was like. I was really intrigued at, like, everybody was going on about the build quality, saying it's amazing, and yeah, I just wanted to see for myself what a off-the-shelf kind of bind and fly model actually looks like in 2023. And I've got to say, I couldn't build one like that. I could totally build a lighter, higher performing quad with just the bare minimum stuff on. I've done it before. You've seen my EOS 5, which I fly all the time. That's just my go-to basher. It gets put through the mill, it gets smashed up, and it gets rebuilt basically, like, you know, every flight. So why bother with this then? Well, there's going to be a lot of people out there that can't be bothered to build, either can't be bothered or just haven't got the skill set yet in the hobby to actually build something from the ground up. It's not really that hard, but it does require a few essential skills, one of them being soldering, to actually put these things together. And then there's lots and lots of different parts to this hobby, so you could actually spend, you know, a huge amount of time in the hobby not actually even flying. So what if you just wanted to get in the air? You know, DJI have solved that problem with the DJI Avata. That gives you an FPV experience, you know, much like a real FPV drone. This is kind of, you know, a real FPV drone. So what if you want to just go from the Avata to this? It's got DJI gear on board, so in theory you could just buy this, pair it with your DJI goggles and your DJI controller, and you go fly. Is it that easy? That's what we're going to find out. Right, guys, so here's the stuff we're going to use. So we've got the Nazgul Evoque V2 with the O3 air unit on board. We've got the version 2 FPV controller, which normally comes with, that originally came with the old FPV potato drone, but you can buy this on its own. And we've got goggles too here as well from the Avata. So this is the setup. This is the goggles and the controller that I was using with the DJI Avata. And you can basically use these two components with this Nazgul Evoque because it's got the DJI O3 air unit built in, which acts as a video transmitter to the goggles, but it also can actually understand the controller signals as well, which is super cool because I actually quite like this controller. It's got quite a low stick movement, and I've been doing a lot of sim stuff on Xbox controllers and, you know, game controllers, so I actually quite like to have a short stick movement versus my other crossfire stuff which I use on the other drones. Anyway, won't get into that. So basically you should be good to go, right? Not quite, because you are actually going to need hobby grade LiPo batteries to run this thing. The Avata comes with smart batteries like this, which are super convenient. They charge from USB, but that is not the case with FPV drones. So again, more stuff to learn. You've got to understand about how to charge these batteries, how to treat them, X, Y, Z. There's a lot of safety precautions. I'm not going to cover it in this video, but be really careful. And you're going to need a charger, obviously, to charge these batteries. So yeah, you're going to need the extra bits and pieces there. And that is a battery charged. So you've got all your bits together, you turn it all on, and it's bind and fly, right? You should just be able to just turn everything on and start flying straight away. Not quite. I mean, it's actually not even that simple with the Avata because you've got to do firmware updates and other bits and pieces anyway. But yeah, there's a few things you need to do before you actually fly this because it's just not going to work. So rather than make a massive long video about how you do each step and just potentially just repeat what, you know, other YouTubers that are better than me explaining stuff have already done in a clearer way, what I think I'm going to do is outline each step that you need to do, and then put a link in the description to someone like Joshua Bardwell, who's just done pretty much every possible thing you can think of on his channel. Great resource, brilliant person in FPV to follow. But yeah, basically I'm going to link some of his videos down below. There might be some others from other people as well. And you'll see, you know, the process of what to actually do. So to start off with, basically what you want to do is you've got to activate the DJI air unit. There's a little USB-C socket on the side of this under that rubber cover there. Plug that into the computer, PC, Mac, whatever. Download a bit of software called DJI Assistant Consumer version. Then you can activate that air unit. You don't need a battery plugged in. It's actually really good these days. You just plug it into the computer and it will activate it. It will update the firmware as well. So the second step, what I would do is pair up the individual stuff. So what you've got to do with this air unit is just push this little button here with something really sort of small and sharp. Push that once on this air unit, and it will kind of go into a pairing mode. Then what you do on the goggles too is you just push this little button once on in here, and it will start beeping. Not that beep, that's the charger, and it will then link to this drone. Then on the controller, once the controller's on, you just literally, you can just turn this on like that, and then you can push and hold this. It won't turn off, it will just go into pairing mode like that, and then eventually it will link up. Then you've got all your things linked up. Don't put the props on. I should have said that in the beginning. Don't have the propellers on the drone before you've kind of, you know, while you're testing all this stuff out. Then you need to do some basic BETAFLIGHT settings. So you've got to download BETAFLIGHT. BETAFLIGHT is the software that's running on the flight controller, which is behind this sort of, you know, panel here. It's also got a USB-C, you know, little socket there, which you can connect to the computer straight away, and it will just recognise it, and you know, you'll connect to BETAFLIGHT, and then it's there. You have to configure your controller to do what you need to do. Now with the buttons on here, you wanna, the way I've got it set up is you would have your arm, your motor arm on a switch here, so that will turn your motors on and off, and then I'd have flight modes on the other side, so angle mode and full acro. So basically, if it's not in angle mode, it's like self-leveling, it will be in air mode, like acro mode. It's not like the Avata where it's got like normal mode, sport mode, all these extra assisted modes. This is like raw FPV, guys. Like, you're on your own. There's no assistance, no crash prevention, no hovering hold, no GPS, unless you get the GPS version, which, you know, has got some, you know, it's got GPS, but it still doesn't work the same way as it does on like a DJI drone. Also have turtle mode, or like flip over after crash, set to this switch here. You push it once and it activates it, and then you push it again and it kind of takes it off. So you'll see that they're not like kind of push hold button. What did I do? It's not like kind of push it and hold it to keep it on. You push it once and it stays on. It's like a latch-in switch. So I've got flip over after a crash on that side, and then I've got a beeper. The beeper set to C1 button here, because the Nazgul has actually got its own beeper on board, which is, if you can see the little piezo buzzer thing under there, it's super loud, and it also makes the motors will also bleep as well, which is good. But that can't, sometimes that's not loud enough if you crash somewhere and you don't know where it is. That is really, really helpful to have a beeper. So, you know, I love the fact it's got you know, a lot of these things built in. I like the fact that you've got the antennas at the back like that on SMA. So you break one of these, it's going to be like £5 to just get a couple of them or something like that. Not a lot of money to replace those. And this is just super simple, because, you know, your controller, there's no antenna for the control link, because that's done by the O3. So there's less things to sort of break and everything else. And also, you don't necessarily need to carry a GoPro, because you've got this amazing O3 camera on the front, which is all soft mounted, so you should be able to get some decent footage out of that, and that's what we're sort of going to find out. So yeah, sorry if that is like, it's not vague, but it's kind of showing you what you're actually going to need to do, because there's a lot to it. It's not just as simple as bind and fly. You know, you're going to need to learn some basics of how you would set up any drone. The plus side is that all the PIDs and all the kind of tuning and everything like that is all done. All you've really got to do is just set up your controller. Right, now the next thing you're going to want to do is test your failsafe. So basically, failsafe is if you lose radio control signal to the drone, you need to make sure that it just basically doesn't fly off. You want it set ideally to either just drop out the sky or some sort of landing function. But I would always probably say just go for the one that just drops out of the sky, because you should be watching what's going on, and hopefully you won't be over anything dodgy. So to test this out, what I'm going to do is I'm just literally going to start the drone with no props on it. So we could go into our arm, give it a little bit of throttle, and then I'm just going to turn off the controller, and you should see it basically stops. So that would have now just fallen out the sky, and you're going to get a beeping sound so you can potentially find the drone again. So I'm glad that stopped. So you can see super loud beeper, that's going to help you find it miles away. Hopefully not. And we know that it works. So this was configured as standard. The failsafe works. So that is a major step. You need to make sure you get that right before you fly any drone. So I will say the iFLIGHT bind and fly stuff usually is pretty good. It's usually set up quite well. There are settings you can apply in BETAFLIGHT to make sure you've got the latest settings, but generally I think from the factory they're set up pretty well. So just don't take it to chance. Always test that sort of stuff out. It's good practice to do that. But other than that, I think we're ready for its maiden. Like usual in the UK, it starts raining just when you want to do something. There's a gap in the rain right at the field, so I'm gonna basically just give it a little hover in angle mode, so the basic mode, self-leveling mode, just test everything's okay. I mean, I've already done this actually anyway, but for the sake of the video I'll show you. This Hero 11 Mini is really good because you've got this big square field of view, so I can kind of shoot over there. The audio is going to be rubbish, but I didn't bring my mics with me, so there you go. So I'm going to go for a little GMB 1100 battery to start off with. This is just, I love this, look, the built-in XT60, and also it's really weird because when you plug it in, there's no spark. It's got a spark kind of suppression device in there. So one other thing I was going to say, I highly advise running FCC mode, even though you're not really supposed to. And I'm not saying whether I do or not, but the reception, the signal penetration of a 20 milliwatt CE signal is just terrible. It's dangerous. It's actually dangerous to use something with that low power. I just don't get it. Anyway, I've got a ham license, so set my camera angle to a reasonable kind of tilt. Anyway, we're in angle mode. Let's get out of the way of the camera. So give it a quick little amazing. So that's flying brilliantly. Doesn't seem to be any issue there. I'm going to power that, guys. See, I love this powertrain because it's basically based on the little Zing motors, 2206 I think, but it's a staggering powertrain, and I've got it on the AOS as well. So it's like the iFLIGHT Blitz 55 amp controller. Just amazing amount of power on a 6S pack. So let's go for a little rip then. Can't do ultra wide unfortunately because I'm in 4K 100 mode. I'll put it to 4K 60 because I mean ultimately the latency for this test is not, we don't need the lowest latency. Anyway, right, let's give it a test. I'm going to go into air mode. Yeah, there is rain. Oh, nice. Feels good. Good thing about this airplane is the fact that it's actually got a lot of protection around the side, so even if it does, you kind of do hit a bit of water or rain, it's not going to get into the flight controller. Oh yeah, it feels good guys, it feels really good. Now you're going to see some water on the lens there. So I'm going to come in because I don't want to bust this up too much right now with this water. There you go guys, so that does feel like it flies pretty well. Very, very similar to my EOS 5. As I say, same powertrain, everything else, but I like this controller actually. It's the first time I've used this for quite a long time. Right, the rain's letting up a little bit now, but I can see it on my camera. I'm just looking at the footage because you can actually just plug the O3 air unit directly into your phone. You can on Android, just with a USB-C to USB-C cable. I really like that feature. You know, what you can do is just get your footage off and then make space for more footage, because you've got 20 gig of storage space on there, but it doesn't go that far at not 4K 60 or 4K 100. But this footage looks really nice. I'm wondering whether I've got stabilisation even turned on, because I thought I didn't, but it looks damn smooth. Maybe let's go for another rip. Takes a little while for the radio signal on the controller to actually kind of kick in. Yeah, I did have Rocksteady on. No, it's still not connected. So with Crossfire, that would happen instantly. I don't know what. There you go. It's done it now. That's quite a long time for a radio link to come back. Which, well, it's initiating. I don't think it'd be that long if you lost connection and it was coming back. But who knows? Right, let's go for another little rip then. Bag of power. Very locked in. Flies lovely. And I usually fly with BETAFLIGHT like stock rate. And it's actually sort of doing a really fine job. Still at 50 megabits a second all the way out here. Megabits a second. The RC link's still good. Wow, this is impressive. Flies well. It's a little bit heavier, it's about 100 grams heavier than the AOS, which, you know, I don't know, you can't notice it so much with the really high power stuff. I mean, if you had this as your first 5-inch, you would not be disappointed for sure. Oh, nearly. Definitely raining out there. Guys, I'm pretty blown away. I would say that might even fly better than my AOS, which you wouldn't expect. it could be the tune. The tune is just pretty spot on. Yeah, I'm blown away. That flies beautifully, absolutely brilliantly. I'm not just saying that. I mean, why would I? Because I don't get sponsored. The thing is, I do want to kind of get sponsored by iFLIGHT, so I'm not going to say anything too bad, I'll be honest, but there's nothing bad to say. There is nothing bad to say. So yeah, super impressed. I think, you know, as I say, I think it flies better than the EOS. I'm going to say that, I'm going to put that out there. And the EOS is lighter. It might be because I've smashed the hell out of my EOS and that's, yeah, it's not in the greatest condition anymore. One thing I do wonder is why iFLIGHT haven't actually set all of this stuff up out of the box. It was kind of going through my mind. I was thinking about this just now. Why didn't they just kind of have a little cheat sheet on, you know, that comes with the Nazgul, saying if you use this controller, because this drone is actually set up to use this controller, like that's how it's wired up. So why do they not have like a little cheat sheet in the box saying this switch is for arming, this switch is for like modes, and you'd be good to go straight out of the box. Like literally you could bind that the same way as you bind like the Avata, and you could just get straight in it. It's got to be some legal issue that they don't want, you know, they don't want people turning it on and it cutting their hands off. Whilst it's a bind and fly, it's got a DIY element, so I suppose the responsibility is in the person who's, you know, got this to set it up right. Anyway guys, I digress. This has been an awesome first day with the Nazgul. Absolutely love it, and I'm excited to see the footage, which you would have already seen anyway. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. There's going to be more videos with the Nazgul. If you've just got one of these, yeah, hit me up in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on these sort of bind and flies, whether you just still prefer to DIY, or you know, whether something like this would be useful for you, you know, just to get out flying basically. Anyway guys, that's it, catch you next time.